I am an eagle. I am born up. Actually, we were all eagles, because that was the mascot at our school, the Episcopal High School of Jacksonville, Florida. This passage from Isaiah, the one that says, "And those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They will mount up with wings as eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." That passage is so near and dear to my heart, I can't even begin to tell you. All those years in high school, I rowed crew. And in a boat of 8 people, all lined up, one in front of the other, we would plaster that, write that on the shirt of the person right in front of you. And for 1,500 meters, you gave everything you could give. Often at the end of it, shaking and making, falling down on the ground and being just spent. But you always had that in your view. So as you were going and you were feeling faint, you were feeling like you couldn't do anything more than you were doing, there it was. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Aaron was the only one who was crazy enough to wear the actual eagle costume, so he gets way bigger points. Now, you might say, Elizabeth, I'm not really sure that's what that passage means, that you would have strength to win some sort of athletic contest, and you'd probably be right about that. But let me tell you that what we were all in that boat attending to, yeah, we wanted to win. We were kids, of course. But the real goal, the real moment where it all became worth it, all of that effort, all of the training, all that we gave our heart to, what we were looking for is when we did get lifted up. When every single person in that boat was absolutely in sync. And we became something far greater than the 8 of us. And literally, there were moments when we flew on that water. And there was nothing else like it. We served one another. We were lifted up, taken out of just what was in it for me, and brought into a profound communion and community that was powerful and palpable. This passage from Isaiah speaks of God in enormous, incredible ways that our human brains can't even begin to fathom, just pointing to the enormity of God. And yet, even in that enormity of God, there is this invitation that we who wait would be lifted up and joined to something so much bigger, and that is somehow at the heart of it. Indeed, that was absolutely the experience that people around Jesus had. This morning's gospel is actually taking place rather late in a day. Last week, we heard the beginning of the day where Jesus sets out and calls 4 of his disciples to follow him. They then make their way to the synagogue where he teaches, and along the way casts out a spirit, and then they get to the house of Peter. And he is told immediately that Peter's mother-in-law is ill with a fever. She is not then able to do what is at the heart of every household, which is to offer hospitality to guests and strangers. The call of hospitality is a profound one that enlivens the heart of the community of the people of Israel. Remember Abraham entertaining angels unawares? It was the Lord. It was a sense not only culturally in that part of the world, because in the desert or in that kind of climate, if you have someone come to you, you must give them some hospitality, all that you can. In addition, it was at the heart of the Hebrew understanding. And so here is this woman, I wish she had a name, let me just say. Peter's mother-in-law, I'm going to call her Zelda. Not a very Middle Eastern name, but that's okay. Zelda was ill. She could not participate in that important ministry, that life within her world. And immediately, Jesus goes to her, takes her hand, lifts her up, and she serves them. Now, before you get all women's lib about that, let's unpack what that all means, because it's powerful. And it means far more than we realize for her and for us. First of all, Jesus, the God of all, this enormous God, comes down right to the heart of someone's personal, individual circumstance who is hurting and takes her hand. This is not generic. This is not just at large. This is someone who cares intimately and deeply for a human being at her point of need. At her point of need. I forgot the tape on my earpiece. That's why. So be it. In that moment, he then lifts her. Now that word, lifts up, is a key word. It is what happens to Jesus in resurrection. It is what happens when Jesus cures the young boy who is convulsed with the Spirit. It is a powerful word. Powerful not only for Jesus, but for that early Christian community and for you and for me. What it says, what that word says and means, is that it is not all up to you and me. God lifts us. God is at work in us. God makes that difference. Now, a fever in that day was incredibly dangerous, even more so than today, and often led to death, certainly led you to not being part of the community and not being able to function in your role. But think of the way in which fever is a metaphor for anything that holds us back, anything that limits us or prevents us from seeing who we are and being who we are. Think of the ways in which our own negative self-talk, our tapes that we inherited, I can't do that. That's not possible. All of the ways in which our own doubt or fear, our own sense of isolation, all that limits us, that holds us back, is like that fever. And it's not like she gutted through and went out and took care of the people even though she had a fever. It was that it was lifted from her. She was lifted. In what way are you struggling today or have been in the past with a burden, with something that holds you, that hides from you who you really are? People who are sick say that the temptation is that you become defined by your illness. Others see you and you see yourself by the illness. But Jesus cuts right through to who we are at our core, in our very essence. And Jesus is at work in our lives, lifting us up to live from that place of profound connection, of healing, of wholeness. How is it in your life that Jesus is lifting you? What is it time to let go of? She is not actively trying to fix it. She is receiving. How do we receive what Jesus offers? The people that Jesus is most frustrated with are the people who don't think they have any need. People who feel like they've got it all under control. They aren't aware of the gaps in themselves. They're plenty aware of the gaps in other people. It's kind of how it works. But here, anytime we become aware of the gap in us, in whatever way or shape or form it takes, you can rest assured that Jesus is right in that, lifting us, freeing us from that which holds us and binds us back to be who we really are, to rejoin into community. And here's the beautiful part. It's to serve, to be part of something greater, something larger than just yourself. This word, serve, is an incredibly powerful word. It is the word that we use for deacon. It is to serve as Jesus served, as Jesus said, God serves. It is the essence of what Jesus lived and what Jesus called us to do as disciples. We are not called to just sing kumbaya to ourselves and be happy within ourselves. Sorry. That's nice, but it's for a purpose. It's for a purpose to meet a need in the world. Whether it is to provide a loving, caring home for others, whether it is to care for someone who is ill and dying, whether it is to address large social action needs that are happening in the world around, or to care for the planet in whatever way we can. You and I, are raised up to serve. This word that's used for Zelda is used not for the disciples who throughout Mark don't get it. They later do get it because they set the world on fire. But it's used for this woman, for Jesus and God, and for the women at the very end of his life who served him. It is what you and I are to be about. And it's intrinsic to who we are. It's being who we are and attending to the needs that we see. This is not about going to manufacture something out there that you're supposed to accomplish and do. It's that we're set free from that which holds us so that we can do our part. We can share in community. We can offer whatever it is we have for the needs that are there. It is an incredible experience to be part of a whole community, each doing what they're good at doing for the whole. I was talking to Father Corey the other day, who heads the Viator House of Hospitality for the asylum seekers that many of our community help to support. And he said something so poignantly, just in the course of the conversation. He said, "This is what I was intended to do. I was going along on a path and God awakened me to this. And this is what I'm about. This is why I am." What are you about? Why are you? This is not to earn God's love. God already loves you. Taken care of, checked off that box. This is to say, what fulfills us, what moves us, what helps us to be part of the larger whole in such a way that, like that crew, shell, that boat, we feel something, we participate in something, and we witness what God is doing in and through us and in and through others. It's a balance of action and contemplation. Jesus, even after this, will continue to heal people well into the night. People coming to him or being brought to him. And then he goes deep into prayer. And when he comes out of prayer, he's clearly focused on what he needs to be about. And we are called to follow that. We're called to awaken to who we really are. Let go of the things that really aren't essential for us in order to get focused and clear on what it is that is at the heart of who we are in this world. And it's unique to each and every one of us. And when we are in that place, we know it. Have you felt that before? When the world's greatest need, as Frederick Buechner says it, is met by your desire, your yearning. And when those moments happen, even if they're fleeting, it makes all the difference in the world. That's what we're after. We're after knowing that God of the universe meets us, you and me and all of us, lifts us up to more than we could possibly imagine ourselves to be able to do, that we may serve one another, serve the stranger, serve in important and powerful or simple and almost unnoticed ways. Always, when we do, we find ourselves renewed with strength. We find ourselves and the community lifted on eagle's wings. We know that it is what makes the difference. This day, ask God for clarity if you don't already have it, for the ways that you are being lifted up, and for that to which you are called to serve. Life will never be the same.